My parents called it a safety form. They said it was just paperwork, something every new mom signs, something that would make emergencies easier. What they didn't tell me was that the document they slid across the table would have handed them control over my baby, my medical decisions, and my money if I ever got too emotional again. And the worst part, they timed it for the 1 week in my life where I was the easiest to manipulate. Postpartum, sleep-deprived, healing, scared. But I read every line. And then I let them find out what happens when you try to play legal games with the wrong daughter. Before we start, if you like long Reddit-style stories about toxic families, manipulation, and legal revenge, hit like. Tell me whose side you're on in the comments and subscribe. We're pushing for our first 1,000 subscribers and it really helps. I'm 27F, and I had my daughter Mila about 9 months ago. This story starts with something I didn't want to admit for a long time. My parents have always loved control more than they've loved me. They weren't the kind of toxic parents who scream and punch holes in walls. They were polished. My mom, Carla, is the kind of woman who smiles while she's twisting the knife. My dad, Greg, is the reasonable one, until you realize his calm voice is just the delivery system for the same manipulation. Growing up, everything was conditional. Love meant obedience. Support meant do what we say. And every time I tried to set a boundary, my mom would get quiet and wounded and say, "I just don't recognize you anymore." So I learned to be agreeable. I learned to keep the peace. And then I moved out at 19 and started building a life that didn't revolve around them. I went to school, got a job, met my husband Aaron, 29M. Aaron is the kind of person who thinks families just talk things out. He didn't understand my parents at first. He'd say, "They're intense but they mean well." I used to say, "You've never seen them when the door is closed." When I got pregnant, everything changed. My parents went from mildly interested in my life to acting like I'd announced a royal succession. My mom cried in the restaurant and squeezed my hands so hard it hurt. "This baby is going to bring our family back together," she said. That phrase made my stomach drop because bring our family back together was code for bring you back under control. But I was pregnant, hormonal. I wanted support. I wanted my daughter to have grandparents. So I tried. I let them come to appointments. I accepted their gifts. I listened to their advice even when it felt like criticism. My mom started posting vague Facebook things like, "Nothing matters more than family. Some people forget that." She'd tag me in baby-related posts about honoring your parents. It was annoying, but I told myself it was harmless. Then my pregnancy got complicated. I developed preeclampsia in the 3rd trimester. It wasn't the worst case ever, but it was serious enough that my OB started monitoring me closely. I was swollen, exhausted, and terrified something would happen to my baby. Aaron was amazing. He came to every appointment he could. He learned the warning signs. He made sure I had a blood pressure cuff at home. My parents, meanwhile, turned my pregnancy into a stage. My mom told everyone she was basically raising the baby with me. She'd say things like, "When she's overwhelmed, the baby will stay with us. That's what grandmas do." I'd laugh awkwardly and say, "We'll see." She'd smile and say, "Oh honey, we don't need to see, we need to plan." Mila was born early, and the delivery wasn't smooth. I ended up with an emergency C-section after my blood pressure spiked, and Mila's heart rate started dropping. The doctors moved fast. Aaron looked like he was going to pass out. I was shaking so badly my teeth were clicking. When Mila finally cried, I sobbed so hard it felt like my chest cracked open. She was tiny but healthy. That was all I cared about. The first week home was survival mode. Breastfeeding was brutal. Mila had trouble latching. I was bleeding, sore, and getting maybe 2 hours of sleep total per day. I cried a lot. Not I can't handle my life crying, just postpartum crying. The kind where you cry because the sun is bright and because your baby is perfect and because you're scared you'll mess everything up. Aaron was doing everything he could. But my parents saw my exhaustion and smelled opportunity. They offered to help. At first, it was helpful. My mom brought food. My dad assembled a baby swing. They cleaned the kitchen. Then my mom started saying little things. You look pale. Are you sure you should be alone with her when you're this tired? You seem emotionally fragile. I brushed it off. Then she started suggesting that Mila should spend nights at their house so I could recover. I said no. And my mom's face did this tiny shift, like her mask slipped for half a second. Oh, she said softly, so you don't trust us. I didn't say that, I replied, exhausted. She's a newborn. My dad stepped in with the calm voice. Sweetheart, he said, your mom and I are just worried. We don't want you to spiral. Spiral. That word hit me like a warning bell. Because in my family, spiral was the label they used whenever I disagreed with them. About 2 weeks postpartum, my mom invited Aaron and me over for dinner. She said she'd make something easy, and she insisted it would be relaxing. I didn't want to go, but Aaron said it might be good to get out of the house for a bit. So we went. Mila slept in her car seat the whole drive. I remember thinking, maybe this will be fine. My mom was extra sweet that night, too sweet. She kept calling me Mama. She told me I was doing amazing. She offered to hold Mila so I could eat. Then halfway through dinner, she put a folder on the table. It was one of those cheap manila folders that looks like it belongs in a dentist's office. What's that? I asked. My mom smiled like she was about to reveal a surprise vacation. Just something responsible, she said. Paperwork for safety. My dad nodded. It's important. Aaron looked confused. What kind of paperwork? My mom flipped open the folder and slid a document toward me with a pen. It's just a guardianship form, she said lightly, like it was a gym membership waiver. In case anything happens to you or Aaron, emergencies. I stared at the paper. At the top it said something like, temporary guardianship and medical power of attorney. I blinked. Why would I sign this? My mom's smile stayed in place, but her eyes sharpened. Because you're a mother now, she said, you have to think ahead. My dad added, if you ended up in the hospital again, or if you had postpartum complications, someone needs the legal authority to make decisions. My throat tightened. Aaron is my husband, I said. He'd make decisions. My mom waved her hand. Of course, but if Aaron is at work and you need help, or if there's a situation where he isn't available. Aaron frowned. I'm always available. Also, why would her parents have power over her medical decisions? My mom's voice got sweeter. This isn't about control, she said. This is about protecting Mila. Then she said the line that made everything go cold. With your emotional state lately, it's just better if there are safeguards. I froze. Aaron's chair scraped slightly as he sat up straighter. My emotional state, I repeated. My mom tilted her head like she was concerned. You've been crying a lot, she said. You've been overwhelmed. You're not sleeping. We just want to make sure Mila is safe if you have an episode. Episode. The air in the room felt thick. My dad leaned forward with the calm voice again. Sweetheart, he said, don't take it personally. We're just being responsible. I looked down at the document again. Something in my brain, some old survival instinct switched on. Because I knew what my parents were doing. They were trying to get legal leverage while I was vulnerable. And they were doing it with a smile. I started reading. Not skimming, reading. My mom shifted in her seat. You don't have to read every word. Yes, I do, I said, still staring at the page. The document wasn't just about Mila. It granted my parents authority over Mila's medical decisions, Mila's schooling and childcare, access to her health records, and buried in the middle, authority related to the mother's medical decisions if deemed incapacitated or unable to make rational decisions. I looked up slowly. This says you'd have medical power of attorney over me, I said. My mom's smile flickered. It's standard, she said quickly. No, Aaron said, voice sharp, it's not. My dad tried to laugh. It's just wording. I pointed at another line. This says the guardianship continues until revoked in writing, I said, and that you can act immediately without notifying Aaron. My mom's tone hardened slightly, because emergencies don't wait. I flipped another page. It also mentioned access to financial accounts necessary for the care of the minor child. I stared at that line. My parents wanted legal access to my money for Mila. My mom leaned in. Honey, don't get dramatic. It's just so we can help if something happens. Aaron stood up. We're leaving, he said. My mom's face changed instantly. Not angry, not yelling. Disappointed, injured, the victim. Wow, she said softly. So you're really going to accuse us of being the bad guys for wanting to protect our grandchild? I looked at her, and something snapped into place. This wasn't about Mila. This was about them. If they could label me unstable, they could justify taking control. They'd been waiting for a moment where I was exhausted enough to say yes to anything. My dad's calm voice got colder. You're acting exactly like we were worried you would, he said. Defensive, paranoid. I didn't argue. I did something they hated more than anger. I stayed calm. I'm not signing this, I said. My mom's eyes flashed. So you're saying you'd rather Mila have no safety net? Aaron is her father, I said. And we have a will, we have godparents picked. We don't need this. My mom leaned back and crossed her arms. Fine, she said. But if something happens, don't come crying to us when you need help. And then she said, very quietly, I just hope Mila doesn't end up paying for your pride. That line was meant to stab me. Instead, it confirmed everything. We left. On the drive home, Aaron's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. What the hell was that? He said. I stared out the window, numb. That, I said, was my parents trying to legally position themselves as Mila's guardians and mine. Aaron shook his head. They're not worried, they're planning. Yeah, I whispered, they always plan. That night I couldn't sleep. Not because of Mila. Because of fear. Because I realized my parents weren't just annoying. They were dangerous. If they were willing to use my postpartum vulnerability to push legal paperwork, what else would they do? I started thinking of worst-case scenarios. Would they call someone and say I'm unstable? Would they try to report me? Would they try to pressure Aaron? And then I remembered something my mom had said earlier that week, casually, while folding baby clothes. If you ever get too overwhelmed, we could take Mila for a while. Courts like stability. Courts. At the time, I thought it was just her being dramatic. Now it sounded like a threat. The next morning, I called my friend Maya. Maya is a paralegal. She's also the kind of person who hears one sentence and immediately sees the legal skeleton underneath it. I told her everything. She went quiet. Then she said, "Do you still have the document?" "Yes," I said. "Take photos of every page," she said immediately, "and email them to yourself and Aaron. Then call a family law attorney for a consult." "Is that overreacting?" I asked, the old training kicking in. Keep the peace, don't make drama. Maya's voice was firm. "No," she said. "That document is not normal, and the timing is not normal. You need to protect yourself." So I did. I photographed every page, saved it in multiple places. Then I scheduled a consult with a family law attorney that afternoon. I brought the document, my hospital paperwork, and a timeline of what my parents had been saying. The attorney, a woman in her 40s with the kind of bluntness that feels like safety, read it and sighed. "Your parents are attempting to create legal authority where they don't belong," she said. "It's not automatically valid unless you sign, but the fact that they tried is concerning." "Can they do anything without my signature?" I asked. "Not this," she said, "but they can cause chaos. They can report concerns. They can create narratives. Courts and agencies take reports seriously, even if they're false." My stomach turned. She continued, "The best thing you can do is get ahead of it, document everything, set written boundaries, and make sure your legal plans are solid." She told us to do 3 things immediately. Update our wills and designate guardians for Mila explicitly. Put our preferred guardians and emergency contacts on file with Mila's pediatrician and any childcare provider. Send a written notice to my parents. They have no legal authority, and any attempt to interfere will be treated as harassment. Aaron and I left that office feeling like we'd been handed a flashlight in a dark room. When we got home, my mom had already sent me a text. "Thinking about last night. We're just trying to help. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." Translation: please stop resisting. I didn't respond emotionally. I responded strategically. I sent one calm message. "I'm not signing any documents. Aaron and I are Mila's parents. Please stop bringing up guardianship, custody, or courts. If you keep pushing, we'll need space." My mom replied within seconds. "Space from your own parents. After everything we've done, you are not well." There it was. The label. Not well. My heart pounded, but I forced myself to stay calm. I screenshotted it and saved it. Then I put my phone down and fed my baby. For about a week, my parents behaved. They were overly polite. They asked permission before visiting. They brought food and acted normal. I almost started to doubt myself. Maybe they'd realized they crossed a line. Maybe it was over. Then my dad called Aaron. "Not me, Aaron." Aaron put it on speaker so I could hear. My dad's voice was warm. "Hey, Aaron," he said. "Just checking in. How are things? How's she doing?" Aaron's jaw tightened. "She's doing fine." My dad chuckled. "Good, good. Listen, Carla and I have been talking. We just want to make sure Mila is protected if anything happens." Aaron said flatly, "We have a will." My dad paused, then said, "Right, but wills can be contested, especially if there are concerns about the mother's stability." I felt the blood drain from my face. Aaron's voice went cold. "What concerns?" he asked. My dad sighed like he was burdened. "You know, postpartum, it's common. Women can change. We just want to make sure Mila isn't at risk if there's a crisis." Aaron said, "Stop." My dad tried to keep the calm mask. "Aaron," he said gently, "don't take it as an attack. We're offering support." Aaron replied, Support doesn't involve legal documents and implying my wife is unstable. Do not call me with this again." And he hung up. I sat there shaking, because now it was clear. They weren't misunderstanding. They were escalating. 2 days later, my mom showed up unannounced. She wasn't alone. She brought a woman I didn't recognize. My mom smiled too brightly. "This is Diane," she said. "She's a notary. We were in the area." A notary. At my door. Like I was going to sign away my life between diaper changes. Aaron stepped forward immediately. "No," he said. My mom's smile stiffened. "We're not here to fight. We're here to get this handled." "Handled," I repeated, voice quiet. My mom looked at me like I was a child. "Honey," she said, "you're overwhelmed. You need help. Stop being stubborn." I felt something in me harden. "I'm not signing anything," I said. Diane the notary shifted awkwardly. "I can come back another time." My mom snapped her head toward Diane. "No, it's fine." Then my mom turned back to me and said, loudly enough for the neighbors to hear, "I'm trying to protect my granddaughter from an unstable mother." Aaron's face changed. "Get off our property," he said. My mom scoffed. "Oh, don't be dramatic." Aaron pulled out his phone. "I'm recording now," he said calmly. "Leave." My mom blinked, like she couldn't believe we dared. Then she hissed, "You're going to regret this." She grabbed Diane by the elbow and marched back to her car. I watched her drive away with my baby sleeping against my chest and realized something heartbreaking. My parents weren't safe people. Not for me. Not for Mila. That night, Aaron and I made the decision. We were going low contact. Not no contact forever, but no more access without boundaries. We wrote an email, a real one, calm, clean, unemotional. It said, "We are Mila's parents. You have no legal authority over Mila. Any attempt to pressure us into signing documents is unacceptable. Any attempt to label me unstable to others will be treated as defamation harassment. Visits will be scheduled only, and only if respectful." We sent it. My mom responded with a novel. She accused Aaron of isolating me. She said I was mentally unwell. She said she'd do what she had to do to protect Mila. That phrase, "do what she had to do," was the most honest thing she'd said in years. So we acted fast. We finalized our wills that week. We changed our emergency contacts. We informed Mila's pediatrician in writing that no one besides us could access her records. We set passwords with the doctor's office and later with daycare. We also told our apartment building not to let anyone into our unit. We built a wall of paperwork between Mila and my parents' control. And then, because my mom had threatened to do what she had to do, we prepared for the one thing toxic parents love: a public narrative. It came sooner than I expected. A week later, my aunt called me. Her voice was cautious. "Sweetie, are you okay?" she asked. I felt my stomach drop. "Why?" She hesitated. "Your mom posted something. She said you're struggling, that you're keeping Mila from them because you're unstable. People are worried." I closed my eyes. My mom had done it. She de-started the smear campaign. I asked my aunt, "Did she say I'm dangerous?" My aunt sighed. She didn't use that word, but she implied, postpartum. I opened Facebook. My mom had posted a long, vague message about watching your child suffer and protecting an innocent baby from a mother who needs help. No names, just enough detail for everyone to know it was me. The comments were full of, "Praying for your family, hope the baby is safe, Postpartum is so serious. Stay strong, Grandma. I felt sick. Aaron looked at me and said, "Okay, we're done being polite." We contacted our attorney again. She advised us to send a cease and desist letter regarding the public claims, since it was now affecting my reputation and could escalate into false reports. We did. My mom flipped out. She called from a blocked number, screaming that I was threatening her. Then my dad texted Aaron, "You're making enemies out of family. Don't be surprised when authorities get involved." Authorities. There it was again. They wanted to scare us. So we did the one thing people like my parents can't handle. We told the truth, quietly with receipts. We sent a private message to close family. My parents tried to pressure me into signing guardianship medical POA paperwork postpartum. They showed up with a notary to our home. We refused. They are now posting vague accusations. We have legal counsel involved. No drama. No insults. Just facts. And suddenly, the worried relatives got quiet. Because it's hard to keep believing concern when there's a notary at your door. The final confrontation happened a month later. Mila and I were leaving the pediatrician's office when my mom appeared in the parking lot. I didn't even know she knew the location. She stepped out from behind a car like she'd been waiting. My stomach clenched, but I kept walking, Mila strapped to my chest. My mom followed. "Hi," she said too brightly. "We need to talk." I didn't stop, not here. She quickened her pace. "You can't keep doing this. People are worried about you." I turned slightly. "Stop." She lowered her voice. "I'm giving you one last chance," she said. "Sign the paperwork and we'll put all this behind us. If you don't, I will do what I have to do." I looked at her. I felt strangely calm. Because now I understood the game. She wanted me to be afraid. She wanted me to react emotionally so she could point and say, "See." So I kept my voice flat. "I already spoke to a lawyer," I said. "If you attempt any false report or harassment, it will be documented and handled legally." My mom's smile dropped. "You think a lawyer scares me?" she hissed. "No," I said. "I think consequences scare you." Her eyes flashed. "You're ungrateful," she snapped. "We raised you, we know you, and you're not well." I leaned in slightly and said, quietly enough that it was just for her, "You don't know me. You know the version of me that obeyed you." Then I walked to my car, put Mila in her seat, and locked the doors. My mom stood there fuming, trapped behind the glass. For the first time in my life, she couldn't reach into my head and pull my strings. It's been months since then. My parents still tell people their story, how they're victims, how I'm unstable, how Aaron stole me. But here's what's also true. No authority has ever shown up at my door. No court has ever contacted us. No doctor has ever flagged me as unsafe. Mila is thriving. Because my parents never had a real concern. They had a plan. And their plan required me to be weak. The moment I stopped playing the role, the whole thing collapsed. I'm not cutting them off forever out of spite. I'm protecting my peace. And I'm protecting my daughter from learning that love means control. So, AITA for refusing to sign anything and going low contact with my parents. Because in their minds, I'm the villain for choosing my baby's safety and my own autonomy over their need to feel powerful. And if you've ever dealt with family like this, you already know. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your child is end the cycle. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the story, hit like, tell me whose side you're on in the comments, and subscribe for more long Reddit-style relationship and family drama stories every day.